Welcome back, everybody, to episode 84 of A to Z Sports Talk. I'm your host, AJ, with my co-host, Zach. And Zach, the two sports that you don't like the most are going on right now, NHL and NBA. Electric. There's no other words to say it. It's
Oh, I've
been
kept up with the
electric.
NHL.
Not the NBA?
I watched, look at the scores. I watched one game was on when we were at some friend's house, and I gotta say, still doesn't do it for me.
Oh,
NHL
man.
way better.
What happened last night, we'll get into it in a little bit here with Jimmy Butler, and then what happened with the Lakers and Grizzlies game. It's phenomenal. And then of course the NHL too last night. The Maple Leafs are one win away from breaking the curse. The Kraken tied it up, and then Cale Makar is suspended for game 5
Mm-hmm.
because of a hit he had on McCann. So the Colorado
The
could be
Oilers
eliminated. So
are winning
the Oilers,
overtime.
yeah, the Oilers coming back.
Every
Yeah,
NHL
it's
game
been
goes to
great.
overtime.
Mm-hmm. The only thing not going for us right now is
What?
our St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, really bad.
It's been brutal. It's been rough. But I guess we can get it started with our Did You See It's? Mine, I still don't even know the whole. I'm hoping maybe you know more about this than I do. The XFL playoffs are locked in here, and the Battlehawks didn't make it. And I see a lot of people posting about how Battlehawks should have made it, but the Seattle made it instead, but they have a worse record or something.
No, Seattle has the same record as us, but we lost to them or something. Or
Okay.
we may have split with them and they had another tiebreaker, but it's the top two in each division. And so it's the Defenders in Seattle and ours, and then um Houston and Arlington the other, but Arlington's 4-6, but they're in the other
It
division. So
was.
that's why
That's
they're
what it
mad. They're
was.
like, it should just be the top four teams. But if we would have beat the um
Dragons or
what's their
whatever they are.
face? The Sea Dragons at home in front of by far the biggest crowd that's like three-fourths the time of all the other
Mm-hmm.
three-fourths the size of all the other teams combined. So that sucks. But
Yeah.
yeah, but
What
that
you
was my
got?
did you see it was we scored
Oh, was it?
53 to be the finale
Oh,
win the finale.
I
AJ
gotcha.
McCarron was 28 for 35, 420 yards, 6 touchdowns. And Hakeem Butler, a receiver on our team who's like led the XFL and like everything, had 9 catches, 164 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
So is it back for good now, the XFL? Because I remember there was like a 2-year stretch here without
I
where it went.
think it's probably hopefully going to come back next year.
I would think so. After
Yeah.
all the, it's not as popular as any of the major sports, but it's
No.
gotten a lot more recognition than before.
Yeah. Like we're for sure St. Louis is for sure carrying the load for the XFL with
Yes,
sales and stuff.
yes, definitely.
But I think it'd be cool if they just open the whole dome up and we just fill it.
I
So
wonder,
that's my invitation, official invitation to the San Diego Chargers, the Los Angeles Chargers. Come
get
home.
Justin Herbert in town.
Come home.
That would be fun.
You'd
That would be a
actually
lot
have
of fun.
fans. We'd show up all
Yes.
the time.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe your owner isn't a snake like Cronky and all the other
Who is
owners, but
who
I
is
have
the
no
owner of the
idea.
Chargers? You don't know.
No idea.
In the MLB though, I started off by saying the Cardinals have really disappointed, I guess, to start the year, you could say.
I think it's like way big of a disappointment, like terrible.
So it's not an overreaction to kind
No,
of
I don't
freak
know
out a
what
little
our
bit.
deal is. We have guys who pitch good and then we can't hit, and then
Mm-hmm.
we'll pitch bad, which has been every game except three. Uh and then we hit good, or I don't know, it's very frustrating. I
It
was looking
is. And
at the standing and our runs allowed are 110 and we've scored 104 times, and then Pittsburgh, Milwaukee, and Chicago all have like runs allowed like in the 80s, like high 80s, and that's not good.
no, we had talked about how we needed pitching all off season. We talked about it to begin this year, and I'm looking at the guy that I always bring up like every episode. I feel like Dylan Cease and the White Sox, and they're like 7-15 right now, and I'm like,
Just
oh, they're
go
going to be
do it
selling.
now. Do it
Yeah,
while DeYoung's
yeah.
hot
I,
and Burleson's hot.
I was gonna say the issue is we're not good enough to be buying right now. Like it's just
We're a
it's
buying team. We're not.
oh we
We're
need
gonna be
to.
like the. I'm hoping if I want an optimistic side instead of me being really annoyed that we lost to the Giants, who were dreadful yet last night, 4-0. The guy went complete game.
Mhm.
Um, is that when the Braves won the World Series, they were under 500 at the trade deadline, and they traded for all those people. If we sell like Goldschmidt, Arenado, I will jump off a bridge into the Atlantic Ocean. I will be mad.
I, we talk about pitching all the time as an issue. I'm looking at some numbers here, and I find a couple other issues if we want to talk about offensively, some problems.
Can't hit
Besides
with runners
Nolan
in scoring
Gorman,
position.
that yeah, that's the obvious one that we've talked about. But the other one is besides Nolan Gorman, where's the power coming from?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody has more than 3 homers, and that's Tommy Edman. I know in the past we've talked about how Paul Goldschmidt, it usually takes him until like late May, June to
Mm-hmm.
really get going. But the averages are there. I mean, we're batting
Yeah.
267 as a team. My like overlying issue that I have maybe a problem with is what I worried about in the offseason. You and I really hyped up like O'Neill and Carlson and Burleson, and Gorman's obviously lived up to the hype. Um, but are these guys like what we think they could be, or are they just like, it could go either way. They could be
Yeah.
phenomenal and help us out, or they could be just like average guys.
I'm kind of I'm kind of starting to think I think Newt's playing really good. I know he's only played
He
nine
is.
games, but I think he could be really good. O'Neill, I'm starting to think he's just a 250 hitter.
He's
He did
worrying
it
me.
last year. I think he kind of did it before he popped off. Um, Carlson, I don't just hit right-handed. Just stop hitting
Mm-hmm.
left-handed. Same with Tommy Edman, just hit right-handed. I know he had a good game left-handed, but I think for sure Carlson just switched to right-handed, kind of like I think Cedric Mullins did that. He was a switch hitter, and then he just switched to left-handed, and
Mm-hmm.
now he's really good. And then I don't know.
Whoever we
It's
end
just
up trading
frustrating.
is we know they're going to blossom into a star. Like that's the
Yeah.
issue that I have. Like we've seen it. This was an awful week for former Cardinals going off. Adolis Garcia was 5 for 5 with 3 homers. There was a couple other ones that I didn't write down, but I
Randy
remember seeing.
Arozarena has just been a stud this whole year.
Oh,
He's
Zach Gallen has been going off
yeah.
too. Like
Yeah, Rosarena has 24 RBIs. Hold on, it's loading. He's batting 353, 5 homers, 24 RBIs, a 1.01 OPS. He's just as long as he imagines it's the World Baseball Classic still
mhm,
and he's playing for Mexico, I think he's gonna
mhm.
be amazing.
Yeah. No, and Zach Gallen, I don't know if it still currently stands, but last time I checked earlier this week, or I guess late last week, he had a 21 inning scoreless streak going. He had pitched 7 2-hit innings. And he was like the toss in with Sandy. And he's just kind of blossomed into a actual
Mhm.
Cy Young candidate. Was he your Cy Young pick actually? He might have been.
I think I did, yeah.
That's what I thought.
Not
So I
gonna
mean,
say
they've
I predicted the future, but
it's not looking good for us so far. Again, I don't like to jump the gun with things because it's very early. But like you said, it's like inconsistent as can be. Montgomery was great last night. Flaherty was
yeah,
great on Sunday. But the hitting's been just non-existent.
I know.
Especially like you said with scoring position.
There are bright spots, obviously, like Gorman's
Yes.
on track for like 40 some homers and 150 some RBIs. I'm sure that's gonna
I'd take
happen.
I would take that.
Uh Newbar has a 475 on base, which I think his on base is gonna be over 400 this year. And his slugs at 500. That's pretty good.
Hmm. Hmm.
um Contreras is started to hit better. I don't know. Like we have guys that are hitting like for average, like you're saying, but
Definitely.
I don't know what are you just need to hit when runners are in
It's
scoring position.
it's that and the power. That's the only two things I
Yeah.
can think of.
Like our team average is 267, which is pretty good.
Exactly. Yeah.
Also, I think we should DFA Andrew Kisner. He sucks.
Oh man, he's really bad.
He bunted
He's
one, and they got the guy out
yes.
at third, and that just triggered me.
That's what did it. That was the final
Yeah,
straw. But I
yeah. I
mean,
think
if we're talking Arenado and Goldie, they have 4 homers combined in our first 25
yeah.
games or whatever. I mean, it's just like
I'm not worried about them.
no, I'm not either. And I mean,
Arenado though
Contreras,
has people have been saying that they think something's wrong with him. I don't know why, like with his swing and
he'd be
stuff.
the one that wouldn't say anything and play through
Yeah,
it. Um, but Contreras has obviously turned it on a little bit. Walker's been up and down, but he's still stuck at 2 homers. Like you said, Gorman's been the MVP though. Gorman's been batting 310, 6 homers, 22 RBIs. And like you said, the
yeah,
averages are there. It's just can we hit with runners in scoring position? Um, because like you said, I mean, we're batting almost 270 as a squad.
yeah.
And then pitching wise, Flaherty I thought has been besides the walks, the couple
hmm
first starts, he's been really good. Montgomery had that awful start where he gave up like 7.
Montgomery's been good.
Yeah, but he's been good. Matz and Woodford are kind of throw-ins, but you're going to get Wainwright back. I know we agree we still need that arm. But I don't know. We'll see. I
Hey, you know who kind of sucked last night?
who's that?
Drew Verhagen. He gave up like all the runs.
Yeah, he came in. What was it? He came in the seventh. They put Montgomery into the seventh to face Yastrzemski,
Mhm.
lefty lefty, and Montgomery was at like 104 pitches. Got the ground ball. Tommy Edmond bobbled it, which is like so weird because it was just a normal ground ball,
Yeah.
straight to him. And yeah, Verhagen came in and his ERA is like 5 now. So it's
Yep.
but then he'll have a couple great ones and then he'll blow up again. It's just
Yeah. It's
sadly what the
just
deal is.
our starters ERAs are not good. Like Michaelis is 7.4, Stu Matt's 6.5, Woodford's 6.0, Montgomery's is
Rough.
3.81, but that's just from that one start.
Yeah.
Flaherty is 3.29. Oh no, I think you gotta go. I would just do it now. I don't our t our offense is so good, our defense is so good. Like, don't ruin this whole season by just being stubborn and not going for it. I say we got all these assets, might as well. Like, do we know if Gordon Kursevko is going to be amazing, or
Mm-hmm.
I say just trade everyone for Otani because he's been rumored. I know
What's
we're
what's happening in
not good,
AAA
but
is
just send it.
no, yeah. I mean, what's happening in AAA? Liberatore, Graceffo, and McGreevy are all there now, and they've all been pitching pretty well. McGreevy just was called up. And there's a guy in like single A that should be in double A soon. Ian Bedell. He went to Mizzou,
Mm.
and he's lighting it up like electric stuff. So, but
I say
he's
call
been
up
coming out
Tink.
of the bullpen before all the other ones.
Yeah. What about
um,
Herpy or Jerpy?
Derpy, I haven't heard much about. I'll have to
Isn't it
do some
actually
research on
Jerpy?
him.
But I just like calling him Herpy.
Yeah, yeah, it's Derpy, but yeah. But no, I mean, do we like you were saying? Do we really want to rely on what if Libertor or what if Graceffo or like they're not
No,
going to come up and be like
I want a
aces for you?
dog.
I know.
I
Yeah,
say
I do
let's just
too.
trade for Zach Gallen, get him back. I don't care. Trade for
The thing is,
Sandy.
if the Diamondbacks weren't off to this pretty good start, I would say, they might be thinking about it, but they're like all in
Yeah,
right now.
I
They're
like
they're they're a
Cease
fun team to watch.
or just trade. Hmm. I'm trying to think of what would it take to get Otani.
It would take it would take obviously Gorman or Walker. They probably
Yeah,
ask for both, but that's not happening.
I'd throw in O'Neill or Carlson.
I would.
DeYoung, he's hot right now.
Yes.
I'd give him like Graceffo, and maybe like Herpy.
Yeah, I mean it would be a load. It would be a load.
He's 0.64 ERA and he hits a gazillion homers a year. Like,
I know.
yeah, I love Nolan
And
Gorman, but he's really a DH. So wouldn't you want a better DH?
yeah, no, I would throw in Gorman. Walker
Or
is
would you
still
throw in
off limits for
Donovan
me.
over?
Over who?
Maybe they
Or
want
just
Donovan over Gorman. I don't know. They'd probably take Mason. They just clean it out. I don't know. We'd have
they
to
would
get an extension for sure.
with knowing how the Angels run things over there and knowing how bad their system is, they're gonna want a haul, and it would probably be like Gorman, Donovan,
Or that means they're kind of
Carlson.
dumb and they'll be like the Rockies. Because he has 1 year left though. That's another
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
uh they'll pay us for his next contract or something, which would be nice.
Yeah, maybe we can finesse him a little bit.
Yeah.
There's another pitcher out there. I know obviously I'm with you on Otani, but another guy that would probably be, I guess, more realistic for us to do is the guy for the Minnesota Twins, Sonny Gray, who's
Mhm.
off to a phenomenal start.
Yeah.
29 innings, 2 runs given up. He's got a .62 ERA and he's 3 and
That's
0.
not bad.
And I'm saying that because I think the Twins will fall off. They're like around 500 right now, but I do
Yeah.
think they will fall off. And that's a guy that has kind of been up and down through his career. I thought he
Hmm.
was going to be like a really star whenever he first came up with the A's, and then he was part of those really good A's teams, and then he kind of
Yeah.
fell off with what was it, the Reds, I guess, and then
Yeah.
I have to think
Yeah.
about it.
Reds and then a Minnesota. Yeah, I'm thinking go for Cease because the White Sox are dreadful.
Yeah,
I'd say
that's
they're
so
dreadful, and we
disappointing.
only have two more wins than they do, which is sad.
Yeah.
Um, very sad. Or I don't think Cleveland would do this. Shane Bieber.
Mm,
That'd be nice.
for sure.
Or Chris Sale. I have no idea who he's pitching. Could be really bad. Boston's really bad. I know he's older, so maybe we don't have to give up as much.
Hmm.
Um, but we at least know. Isn't he hurt though?
He pitched the other day. Last time I checked, his ERA was over 7. That's
Oh
that's the
yeah,
one
it's
thing I was.
8.2, so
Yeah.
he'd fit right in.
I'm looking at this Twins team though, and if they do fall off, which I do think they will, but again, that division's so bad they could be like in the running
Yeah.
and still be below 500. But Pablo Lopez, Sonny Gray, Joe Ryan, and Tyler Mahle are all options that could be moved. Like
Hmm.
those are 4 starting pitchers. I know we were kind of in the Mahle sweepstakes last year at the
Yeah.
deadline, a little bit from the Reds, but Joe Ryan's been good for them. Sonny Gray, you obviously are a huge fan of Pablo Lopez. Those are all names
We're
that
not getting Pablo. They just extended him.
yeah, and I think they also extended Molly too. So
Also, we
that's why
should
I'm
have got
like,
Pablo in the offseason. So if we traded for him, it just makes me mad.
it's an interesting thing that we didn't do anything to like help our
No,
one major issue
we
that
have
we
six
thought was
starters.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
or
it's all
or
depth.
Jesus Lizardo with Miami, a younger guy. Obviously not as proven, but I honestly have no idea how he's doing either. So that's why I'm gonna go look right now.
Um how are you feeling about this Max Scherzer suspension?
I think it's dumb.
It
I
doesn't he
don't
doesn't seem like
think
the guy that would do it.
I don't think he did any, I think it was sweat and rosin, like he said.
I agree.
And also this umpire is the only umpire he's thrown out everyone this year for substance.
Gosh. No,
All right,
he's
so
out
Jesus
10
Luzardo has a
games.
3.62 ERA,
Okay.
which not bad.
Mm-hmm.
How old is he?
And it's gotta be like
25.
24.
I'm
Yeah,
in.
okay. That's all it took. But yeah, Scherzer's out 10 games with that suspension. He already like has had 5 of the 6 or whatever, or five or
Yeah.
six of the 10 already. But
I only missed
um
like one start.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, that was a pretty big he's a very intense guy, and so he blew
Hmm.
up pretty big there on the mound, and deservedly so, because David Cohn on ESPN did like a demonstration of rosin and sweat,
Yeah.
and it sticks. I mean, it's a really
Hmm.
sticky thing, and so Scherzer's not a guy that he's. I feel like I mean I have no evidence, I guess, besides the fact that he hasn't done it in the past,
Yeah.
but he doesn't seem like a guy that would do that type of thing.
Yeah, I don't think he's the person who does that. I think he's never gotten anything till now.
Hmm.
I don't think he's pitching so good. I don't think he'd really like use spider tack or anything.
Exactly. Um, and then the other major MLB topic that I had to ask you, are the Pirates for real? I know O'Neal Cruz is
No,
out, but I agree.
they're just
So
hot.
they're 16-7, and their two like major series wins just came against I think the Rockies and the Reds. Maybe they just blew them out.
So two super good
So
teams.
yes, dominant. But now I think they have like the Rays, maybe the Dodgers. Like they have a stretch coming up here where
Hmm.
they play some tough teams, and so they're without O'Neal Cruz. Obviously, sadly, I'm a huge O'Neal Cruz guy. And then Brian Reynolds was extended today, 8 years, however many million. I didn't see the money
Oh,
along with
was
it,
he
but
actually?
Yeah, 8 years for Brian Reynolds to stay in Pittsburgh. So I think it's great for baseball though that they're good
Mhm.
so far.
Not
I
for
don't think it's
us.
sustainable. Not for us at all. We're hanging on to fourth place right now because the Reds are just barely
Yeah, you
worse
know,
than
here's
us.
something that's kind of sad. If I can get back to it. Wait, let me find the standings. We have 14 losses. The Nationals also have 14 losses and less
It's
games played. They have 7 wins and
unacceptable.
7-14. We're 9-14.
Unacceptable. And do you think Ollie's job is on the line anytime this year?
Sure, why not fire him? I'd
you're
do
you're
anything for a
di-
spark.
you're
I'm so
different than
like
me.
down. I'm like, this is not how I expected
No, not at all.
it. Well,
Um,
pitching, honestly, yes.
yeah, I'm kind of on. I'm not a huge Ollie guy. I'm different than you in the fact that I love to like wait things out, and I have a lot of like patience and threshold like with
Yeah.
these things. And you're like, fire everybody.
I think we'll be fine. I do want to trade for pitching because I don't think our pitching is going to get any better.
No,
That's
I
just what I
I
want us
agree.
to do. But we'll call
I
up
ca-
Libertor and be like, oh, it's just like a trade, like DeYoung.
yeah.
We got an all-star
Mhm.
shortstop now.
No, I hope Paulie does continue to do well. I mean, he's only played 2 games, but last night I think he was over 3, over 4. But hopefully he can kind of provide another bat. But
Yeah.
it's the two things: power, hitting with runners in scoring position. Those are gonna be the two things that we need to fix. But um, we can move on to the NHL, where the curse is almost broken for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they're looking pretty because they're going back to Toronto up 3-1 after an overtime win, 2 overtime wins.
I watched the
Um,
game last night till they tied it up. And then it was like 10-15. So I went to
late.
bed.
No, it was late, and then the Kraken came on after that. So I mean, that was a really late one.
I hate that the
Um,
Oilers, Kings, I think they should just not have sports on the West Coast. No one likes the West Coast. Um, it's on too late.
See, I'm a late. We've talked about this before, but that's why I kind of like the Pac-12 because they're always like late night games. So I love the fact that it's like 9 o'clock, and I'm like, oh, I can just like sit back and watch another game.
If I didn't have to
Um,
wake up at 6 a.m., I'd stay up and watch.
that along with you being on the East Coast, it's even harder. So,
Yeah, Eastern
but
time
no,
is the worst.
the Maple Leafs with 2 massive wins in Tampa, and now they go back to Toronto with a chance to break the curse, and you can kind of feel the vibe and like electricity that's going through
Yeah.
that
Wouldn't it
city
be
right now.
funny though if the Lightning came and beat them down 3-1?
I don't count them out. I don't. It's just it's what they do. They're very hard to eliminate. The Kraken, like I mentioned at the beginning, a huge win last night in overtime. Jordan Eberle won it in overtime. They're up, or they won 3-2, but they're tied 2-2 in the series. Going back to Colorado, but Cale Makar is suspended for Game 5 with a hit on McCann. So that's going to be a big thing to watch. I think Colorado still wins the series, but I'm really happy with what Seattle's doing because I just wanted them to make it difficult and push
Hmm.
Colorado, wear them down a little bit moving on. But maybe Seattle can pull off a crazy upset. That would be so
That'd
fun.
be nice.
The Devils are up three, or I keep looking at the score instead of the series.
Yeah.
Um, but the Devils won the other night 3-1, and they lost both games at home and then
And then they won.
won both games on the road.
Yeah, because I was
So
like,
that
weren't they
series is
down
tied.
2-0? I didn't realize they were
Yeah,
tied it up.
yeah, and I follow some Rangers fans, and they're kind of freaking out a little bit because they were feeling really good winning those two on the road, and
Hmm.
you lose both at home, and it's like a whole new game. And then my big upset, I picked Winnipeg over the Golden Knights in Vegas, and Vegas is up 3-1 in that series, so not looking good for
They
Winnipeg.
had a
And
chance,
Shifley
but they
got
lost
hurt.
in that overtime game.
Yeah, that was brutal. That was like the dagger, I feel like.
Hmm.
Um, but as you said, I don't know if we said this off air or on air, but you said the Oilers. You mentioned the Oilers, and they were down 3-0 after the first period the other night, and I'm like, gosh, they're gonna go down 3-1
I
with
know.
the
I saw that. I
Kings.
was like, no. And then I went to bed and woke up and saw they won. It's like, oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Drysdale had a couple goals, and they came back and won it, man. And now it's 2-2. What a momentum swing! Like they could have
Hmm.
been down 3-1 going back home, just demoralized, and now it's tied 2-2, and they're back home. They have the advantage, the home ice advantage. So big game for them tonight on Tuesday. The Wild and Stars are exactly what I thought it would be. Just a bruiser
Yeah.
battle. They're tied 2-2. And then the Islanders and the Hurricane are up 3-1, and Islanders
Can't score.
cannot score at all, man. I was gonna say that too. They just can't score.
And then
But yeah,
Kings
I mean,
Oilers are tonight.
there's been like brawls everywhere. Like it's,
Austin Matthews and Stamkos fighting. Awesome.
I don't think Matthews was ready to fight.
No.
I think he just was like, oh, okay.
It was his first fight of
Um,
his career.
it was, yeah. And Stamkos isn't one to really fight either. But if you see how that whole thing happened, did you see the hit that happened?
Oh, when O'Reilly like he like pushed him and then he kind of fell weird into the wall.
Yeah, and when it happens full speed, it looks really bad. But then you
Mm-hmm.
kind of play it, and he didn't even extend his arms. He kind of just nudged, and he kind of lost his balance. If you're the Lightning, though, you totally have to stand up
Yeah.
for your guy. But um, it wasn't a dirty hit. Like it really
Mm-hmm.
wasn't. He kind of just nudged him, and Braden Point lost his feet a little bit from under him. But no, it's been fun. And I hate that the Blues aren't in it.
Yeah.
It's sad not watching the Blues be a part of this whole thing.
It's
But
sad, but at the same time, it's not stressful.
no, that's very true. That's very true. And we have the draft lottery coming up on the second, I think, and we have like a 3% chance at the at the first pick. It's not happening, but
We're
it's our
gonna win it
first
all.
time in years where we can kind of like hold on to that little hope
Yeah.
of that happening. But yeah, I mean, it's the NHL playoffs have been electric. Nothing, I mean, that's new to us. We expected it to be this. But you actually have some NFL talk because the draft is this week.
Mhm.
So what you got, man?
All right. NFL draft this Thursday. It's in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I kind of like how they do it now where they kind of go like different cities each year, change it up. I think it's really exciting. Like Nashville's is really cool. Because they did it right downtown. I think for Casey's they're doing it. Oh, I think they are doing it by Union Station where they had like their ceremony for winning the Super Bowl.
Hmm.
But there's a lot of stuff like this draft I think is going to be crazy. I also think we should mention that Aaron Rodgers got traded maybe before we get into this, just realized that, remembered
Oh,
that.
yeah, I forgot about that too.
Finally got traded to the Jets. We knew it was all going to happen, but um finally got traded. I think the Jets will be pretty solid. They have a great defense.
Should
And
be.
the Packers don't look good. And also, if we want to go draft, they have the 13th pick. And if they take a receiver, if I was a Packers fan, I'd be pissed. But get into some of the draft. Carolina's won. Uh, and then after about that, a lot of people, Bryce Young's most likely going to go first. And then after that, there's no idea where anyone else is going because
Yeah.
Houston came out and said, um, we may not take a quarterback at 2. And everyone was assuming they're going to take CJ Stroud at number 2. Now they don't know if they're going to take a quarterback, so they don't know if they're going to trade out, if they're going to take Anthony Richardson, take Will Levis. All of a sudden, Will Levis has gotten a bunch of traction to go number 2, which I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not with that.
Like, I know CJ Stroud played on Ohio State and the receivers are really good and they get open a lot, but I don't know. I know there's a video of Will Levis throwing from his knees 50 yards. Like, if you're on the ground on your knees, you're usually down in NFL. So I don't know how that's going to translate. But yeah, I'm looking at someone's mock draft. Bryce Young's going to go first, probably. If I was Houston, I feel like they may go defense just because they got that new coach from San Francisco. He's a more defensive guy. Like they may like this mock draft has him taking Will Anderson, which like I think building your defense and then getting a quarterback is smart. Building your team around him so your quarterback just doesn't fail right off the bat.
Mhm.
And then Arizona has 3, and I didn't realize Arizona was that bad this year. Um, So it's interesting to see what they do. Especially because like you have Kyler, you have Buda Baker wanting out, DeAndre Hopkins wants out too. Um, so it's like, what do you really do? I feel like they could do offense or defense, and it really doesn't matter. And then the Colts are number 4, and they're also a team who could draft a quarterback. Same with the
Mhm.
Seahawks, even the Lions and Raiders. So like maybe the Falcons too. Like it's crazy. I bet someone's gonna trade up. I feel like Arizona may trade with someone so they can go up and get like Will Levis or Richardson or someone else.
Yeah.
But it's really just wide open, really. I don't know why CJ Stroud's been dropping so much. I think he's gonna be good. Will Levis has that like really big build that everyone you just see like a 6'5" quarterback who's strong and everyone just
Sure.
goes psycho because they're like, oh, he's gonna be amazing. And then Anthony Richardson, who I don't know where he's gonna go. I'm very interested to see where he goes because he kind of sucked in college,
Yeah.
but he showed flashes. Um, yeah, no, he just has to find the right situation because his completion percentage in college was in the 50s. And I remember Josh Allen's when he was in college was kind of bad like that. So like if he gets in the right situation, he can like develop. And he's also played like 13 games. So
Hmm.
I don't know who's going to be have the balls to take him.
Yeah,
But
Richardson could go in that 5 spot, even to Seattle. I see Seattle's,
mhm,
I see we're talking a lot about him on everything that I'm seeing, but he also could go like late first round. It's
yeah,
very interesting. As you said in past episodes, like his stock has risen incredibly this offseason
mhm.
because he wasn't a great college player.
No, he really wasn't. And then there's just a lot with there's a lot of solid players. Like there's the Jalen Carter, the guy from Georgia who like fled after hitting those
That
people or something. Yeah, so I they have no idea where he's going. He only visited teams in the top 10. Um, you got Will Anderson, and then there's some like defensive edge from Texas Tech who's super good, which to me just doesn't make
Ty,
sense.
Ty,
A defensive guy
Tyree
from
Wilson.
Texas Tech. Yeah,
Yeah.
which in this mock draft they have Seattle taking him.
Hmm. I'm
Um,
looking at that too.
for me, I think the best player in the draft is Miles Murphy. Yes, he played at Clemson and he was really good. He's a defensive end. Um, another thing is there's a lot of really good tight ends this year. You got the guy from Notre Dame, got Meyer. There's this giant guy from Georgia who's like 6'8", who I never really heard of until the draft. So like I don't know if he's actually good because they have
Mm.
Brock Bowers on their team who's a stud. I think there's a guy from Iowa who's really good, but as we know, Iowa they just like you know don't pass well. Um,
Just say it nicely.
yeah, I'm trying to find the other tight ends. Yeah, Michael Mayer. Oh, guy from Utah, Dalton Kincaid. Um, which they have the Cowboys taking in this draft because the Cowboys lost Dalton Schultz. Um, yeah, I don't know.
Where do you think Bijan Robinson goes?
I want him to fall to us so bad. I want the Cowboys to take him so bad. If he falls to us, you got to take him. But I think he could go high. I think he man, I just keep thinking of him on us and I get really excited. They
So
had this mock draft has him
you're
going
sitting
to
at
the
number
Tampa.
26.
What'd you
Yeah,
say?
I see that. I was gonna say you guys are sitting at number 26.
Yeah. Like I'd trade up for him. Him and Pollard. Ooh. I think he can catch the ball too. Like that just gets me excited. I could see him going to a lot of places. I could see him like the Falcons could even take him that early. I don't know if they will. I'm trying to think. Kansas
What about
City's
what about Jameer Gibbs? He's another running back in there.
yeah, I think he'll be they have him going to Cincinnati, which that makes a lot of sense to like have that two back with Mixon, more of a downhill
Hmm.
guy than Gibbs, the more faster guy.
Mm-hmm.
Or
That's
also, I
true.
feel like the Bills should take a running back. I don't know,
Oh, you
but
would think they need running, man,
this one
at
hasn't
some
taken a
point.
receiver, which I guess they
I
kind of do need. Um, I do think the Cowboys may take a tight end. I think if Bijan is there when we're picking, we should take him because he's a game changer. But
mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
Schultz left and we have like Ferguson and Hendershot, who we had were pretty solid, but there's this tight end draft is pretty solid.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. This draft is gonna be crazy. I haven't looked too much in it, just like stuff what I've been listening to. Um, yeah, I got to shout out Brian Bursey, Clemson guy. He's projected to go first round.
I
But
mean,
I don't
I,
even
as
I don't. I'm trying to think of what the Cowboys need. I would say like tight end or running back, and then always bolster up the defensive line. And then I think we need to draft some offensive linemen as well because um uh Zach Martin and Tyron Smith are getting older, which is sad. Um yeah. What do you think about the Seahawks? You guys have a lot of picks.
yeah, I think they don't go with Richardson. I don't think that's what
Yeah, I don't think you
they're
should.
going to do. I think they are going to either take what this mock draft says, Tyree Wilson,
Mhm.
or if somehow Will Anderson falls, I mean, there's
Oh,
no
you
way you
got to
don't
take
take
him.
him. Um,
Or
but
just
when it
take a
comes
shot
to
at
like,
Jalen Carter. Who cares? I know there's a
yeah,
bad off the field, but he is really good on the field.
I think Bryce Young at number one is a given. I think that's a lock
Hmm.
personally. The Will Levis hype, you kind of talked about it. I'm not all in on that. He does have the
Hmm.
body for it, but I'm not all in on that. And I also don't get if I were the Texans, I think I would get Stroud. Um, but again, it's like a win-win or a lose-lose at the same time. Like
Yeah.
you have so many when you have so many holes like they do, or the Cardinals. I mean, it's just like what do you want right
Yeah.
now, and then figure out the other one later. So I don't know.
And then a quick Jags. I think the Jags just take defense. And that's it.
Where are they picking in the 20s? I'm sure.
24.
Okay.
And am I excited for them this upcoming year? Calvin Ridley added to Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Evan Ingram, ETN.
What? Yeah. What about Ridley?
Yeah, yeah, Calvin Ridley. I said that.
Oh, did you say Ridley? My
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
bad. Yeah, I mean they're in a good spot, man. So you're gonna have two football teams that are probably pretty good next year. Three if you
Hmm.
count Clemson in there. So moving on to the NBA. Like I said at the very beginning, it's been great basketball, especially for the first round of the playoffs. That's a video I made on TikTok last night. I said that for the NHL and NBA playoffs being in the first round, it's been electric. Usually you have to wait, not NHL. Usually for the NBA, you have to wait until like the finals or the conference finals that it
Hmm.
picks up. These first rounds have been phenomenal. And I feel like we can't start anywhere but what Jimmy Butler did last night, which was 56 points and really said the whole city of Miami hop on my back and I'll carry you.
Yeah.
Giannis did return with a triple double 26, 13, and 10. Brooke Lopez with a career high 36. Um, but the number one guy that stood out to me for the Milwaukee Bucks was Drew Holiday, 6 for 19 with 14 points. He's got
That's
to be a little
solid
more.
percentage there.
Yeah. But Jimmy Butler, 19 for 28, 56 points. He had 22 in the first quarter. Um, Next closest on their team had 15, and that was Bam. So, I mean, playoff Jimmy's like a real thing. I always thought
Yeah.
he just like elevates his game, but he like literally becomes a different player. Because in
And he
the
doesn't
regular
shoot
season,
threes, really.
no, he doesn't. The funny thing is, he's not a good 3 point shooter, but he made
No.
two huge ones at the end of the game there, like clutch in transition.
Heat check.
So yeah, big win, and I think the Bucks are. This is a stupid thing for me to say, but I think the Bucks are in a lot of trouble.
Oh,
Down
yeah.
three to
Obviously, they're
one.
down 3-1.
Yeah, exactly. That's that's why I was saying it's kind of an obvious thing for me to say, but yeah, down 3-1. They're in a lot of trouble,
But if
and
there's one team who could come back from 3-1, it would be the Bucks, especially with Miami, who sometimes forgets that the basketball is supposed to go through the basket.
I agree. Yes, that's why I'm saying I'm not ruling out the Bucks from coming back here, just like we talked about with Tampa Bay and Toronto, in the NHL. I'm not ruling out the Bucks at all. I think it's very possible. I think Giannis was playing through some back pain last night. They kept having to massage it. He was still
Was he
obviously
out
very
two
effective.
games, two or three, or the
He was
first
out.
game you got like hurt during?
Yeah, he was out games 2 and 3, and they
Did he
won
play
game
all of
two.
game one?
He played only the first quarter of game one.
Only the first
Yeah.
quarter?
Yep. He only had 6 points.
Well, that sucks. For the Bucks, he got hurt.
I know. I know. The thing is, they blew Miami out big time in game two.
Mm-hmm.
Like Miami or Milwaukee has enough talent. If Chris Middleton's effective, they have enough talent to be able to beat Miami. It was just like last night. It was just um, all game long. Milwaukee had led. They were up by 10 with like 8 minutes left, and I'm like, yeah, well, Miami pushed them a little bit, but Jimmy just flipped a switch.
Yeah.
Um, the other game last night, the Lakers Grizzlies game, the Lakers ended up winning 117, 111, and Ja Morant. There's a lot of storylines in this game. Ja Morant's the one I want to start off with because he's got to stop this whole flying in midair, falling on that hand. Because I know that's how his style of play, but we've talked about it on here with Derrick Rose and how that didn't work
Mm-hmm.
out. And like he's playing, credit to Ja, he's playing through a lot of pain right now in that hand.
Isn't
Um,
it his right hand?
it's his shooting hand, yeah. And the funny thing is, he in game three he scored 22 straight points in the fourth quarter
Jeez.
and had 45 points on the night, was drilling threes, which is not his game. Last night, though, 19 points. Um, as a Braun fan, as a Lakers fan, I'm absolutely loving what's happening to Dylan Brooks right now. I think it's absolutely hilarious. That now he doesn't want to talk in press conferences. I think that's hilarious. Jaren Jackson last night, 5 for 15. They just don't have the depth. And that's why I picked the Lakers coming into the series is
Yeah, they
because
didn't have Steven
um,
Adams or Brandon Clark, and then
they would help a
Jaws
lot.
hands hurt.
Yeah. Desmond Bain had a big night last night. 3 quarters in, the fourth quarter, he could not make a bucket at all. Um, Tillman popped off in game two of the series to help them get their one win so far. Braun did not have his best stuff last night, which is why I'm really glad they won. And I'll get to Anthony Davis in a second because I have some issues with that man. But Braun played 45 minutes, had 20 rebounds, the most rebounds he's ever had in the game. So he made that impact that way. And then also, the way I can tell NBA playoffs are like heating up is when he took 2 charges last night when Ja was midair, like trying to dunk on him.
Mhm.
And I mean, it was like a hard fall intensity. Like people are diving on the floor. You don't see that in the regular season as much. So that's a big point of where the intensity is picked up. But as I said, he has 20 rebounds last night, which is the most in his career. But AD had 12 points and 8 points up until overtime. Um, and I've never seen a superstar like Anthony Davis go from 31 and 17
Mhm.
in game three to 12 and 11 in game four. And I think he was dealing with some kind of hip bruiseness or some kind of hip bruise that he
He
fell
always has
or
some
whatever.
excuse.
Yes, he does. But he's got to step up. Not only if they're going to just finish this series, but if they're going to go deeper in this postseason, which I think they're capable of because Austin Reeves, man, he's I've never seen somebody, and JJ Redick mentioned this today on TV, how he's gotten better during the season. It's weird.
Mhm.
Like his handle, he's shaking Ja, he's shaking Desmond Bain. Like nobody can stay in front of him. He gets a little out of control at times where he's kind of you can tell he's not, how do I say this? He's not a star. Like you
Mhm.
can tell that because he loses the ball sometimes. How many turnovers did he have last night? He had 3 turnovers, but was a plus 12. His defense has improved. Um, D'Angelo Russell, who has been booty cheeks the entire series, finally made 3 threes in a row last night when they needed it bad in the fourth quarter. So that's why I'm pretty confident this Lakers squad is Braun didn't have his best stuff last night, but he made his impact defensively and on the boards. AD was not good at all last night until like overtime and fourth quarter, and they still found a way to win, and that's what makes championship teams. If you get these role guys that can step up, Rui Hachimura is had only 7 points last night, but he's
Yeah,
been unreal in
seven
this
points.
series. And then Dennis Schroeder was plus 24 off the bench, which he's a guy that's been really streaky. So um, I'm feeling confident. Last night was a big one though.
Who do you play next? Who would you play next?
It would be the winner of the Kings Warriors, and I'm gonna go
Oh
right into
yeah,
that series actually
done.
because I'm gonna go into that
I
series
know you're like
because
really pumped about the Lakers, but you're playing the Grizzlies without like their big guys.
yeah, yeah. The thing was with the Warriors, we beat them 3 out of 4 times this year, and then with the Kings, um, De'Aaron Fox is actually he said to like right while we were filming, I got the notification he is playing Game 5. He was dealing with some kind of finger issue or a hand issue, but he will
He
be
is
ready for Game
playing.
5. Yes, which is huge for them because he's been their guy all postseason so far, and the fact that the Warriors just can't win on the road is the one thing that's sticking with me. I know it's the Warriors, and we need to respect them, and they can find a way whenever. But for them to go 11-30 on the road this year, if you count the playoffs, 11-32, that's just it's not sustainable. Um, for the Lakers, I like our chances against the Kings or the Warriors. The one team I'm worried about is the Suns. I'm very scared of that matchup because the
Oh
Suns
yeah,
can just
they're gonna
score
dominate you.
like crazy. And I can't stand that Kawhi is not playing in Game 4 and Game 5 of this series because they went on the road, got you split the two in Phoenix, which
Hmm.
you want to do as an away team. You come back home and he's not available. So it's just I always take the side of the players where I want to give them the benefit of the doubt if they're dealing with something, but I don't know with Kawhi, man. I it's
It's his
we've done
same
we've
knee. He's like
yeah.
messed up before though, so like I'm sure it's like actually something.
It just surprises me because I'm on AD, but Kawhi goes and drops 35 and plays 44 minutes, and all year you rest him because you say
Hmm.
the Clippers say they want him to be prepared for this moment, and then he's not. And it'd be different if something happened in the game where I saw like an injury happen and like De'Aaron Fox is dealing with, or Tyler Hero with the broken finger, broken hand. But
Uh-huh.
nothing like showed up. Like he played the whole game, looked great after the game, talked in the post conference, and now he's out again. Russell Westbrook has stepped up his game, um, and has played really well, but they can't win without Paul George or Kawhi.
Yeah.
Like they're going to need at least one of them. So, but yeah, that series is 3-1 Phoenix, and I guess the last game is tonight, maybe. Yeah,
Yeah.
Game 5 is tonight. Um, you and I talked a little off air. Celtics Hawks. The Celtics are just a mismatch for the Hawks
They're very
entirely.
good.
Like they're very good, man. And Tatum and Brown, it's very hard for the Hawks to match up with that, especially when Trae Young has not been playing the best of basketball. DeJounte Murray got suspended for making contact with a ref, so he's gonna be out tonight. The series is probably done tonight. Um, that's been the least entertaining series besides the Sixers Nets. The Sixers Nets was a sweep and
Yeah.
done. And then the
Sixers
Timberwolves.
Celtics game
Oh,
series.
that's what we wanted.
I
That's what
want
we wanted.
fights.
The Timberwolves did steal a game in Minnesota in overtime against Denver. They played a night Game 5. I think Denver probably finishes the job tonight. Um, I'd love for the Wolves to, as a Lakers fan, I'm kind of hoping the Wolves wear down the Nuggets just in case. Because like, who would you have, Nuggets or Suns in that matchup? Because that's what would be next.
Suns.
Still rolling with the Suns. The only reason, and I'm going Suns too, but the only thing I'm worried about with the Suns is depth. They're playing Chris Paul 39 minutes a night. They're playing KD
Oh,
and
this is his
Booker
last two raw.
44.
Yeah, you got to.
If he doesn't win a chip this year, it's not happening. It's
No.
just not. This is their best chance.
He just needs to
And
make it. If he doesn't even make it to the finals, which he has never
if
done.
hmm so the Nuggets up 3-1, the Celtics up 3-1, the Suns up 3-1. Those series might all finish tonight. And then the Cavaliers, huge disappointment for me so
Hmm.
far. Donovan Mitchell was awful the other night. New York fans are going crazy. They're up 3-1 in that series. And I had the Cavs losing in 7 to the Bucks in the next round. That's how high I
Yeah.
was on Cleveland. And they've really just
I feel like we've had the
absolutely
same
disappointed.
conversation about Donovan Mitchell all the time.
Yeah,
He's, I don't know.
you're not high on him?
He's not, no. Like, yeah, he scores a lot of points because he shoots the ball 80 times a game.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know. It just seems like always in these big games, just never. He always tries to be the hero instead of actually playing like
I
team
know.
basketball. Have I watched any of the games? No, but that's what I'm. That's what my take
It's
is.
it's true though, and it's awful because the New York Knicks were in the running for Donovan, and he chose. He didn't choose; he was traded. But it was the whole Cleveland. I mean, he had a say in that, and so New York fans are just how brutal they are. They're letting him
Yeah.
have it right now. But no, again, besides the Celtics Sixers and besides the um or Celtics Hawks and the Sixers Nets, besides those two series, I have been completely entertained and just all in on all of these series. They have been so much fun. The Kings Warriors is really entertaining. Like the Lakers Grizzlies is entertaining because of the back and forth and um somebody told me yesterday how I shouldn't be excited because we're up 3-1 on the Grizzlies. We started the year 2-10 and had a .3 chance of making the playoffs. I will take a first round win over the Grizzlies, a team that's 51-31. But the Warriors and Kings is entertaining because that matchup is two teams that are very similar. Coach Brown was under the Warriors last year. With the Lakers and Grizzlies, it's like that back and forth Dylan Brooks drama, which I think is great for basketball.
If he
It
would
just
have
brings that
kept it
intent.
up,
If he would have what?
if he would have just kept being a villain, that would have been so
He
funny. But he
he's the
stopped.
thing is that he's not talking to press conferences now. He's not like he's just kind of like shying away. He said
Yeah.
even the media has turned. You don't say that. If you're the villain, just embrace the hate of being the
You
villain.
just say
So
LeBron didn't score 40. He still sucks. That's what
yeah,
I would have said.
yeah, you got to keep going with it. But then the Kings Warriors, man, I'm so entertained and like completely in this series because the Warriors are going to have to win a road game to win the series.
Hmm.
I mean, one way or another. And can they do that? I think they can. I think the Kings win this series. Something's telling me
The Kings are
the
winning
Kings win
it
it.
all. Light the beam.
Hey, Kings are winning it all.
No,
If the Kings beat out the Lakers in the second round, I'm all in on the Kings. I'm all in. I'll cheer for them at that point.
I'm rooting for the
Um,
Celtics just for Jason Tatum. Them and the
yeah,
Kings.
I can't cheer for the Celtics as much as Tatum's from here, and I want to rep him. I can't cheer for Boston, man. I can't. I just
Yeah, I don't
physically
like
can't get
Boston,
myself.
but hey, St. Louis pride runs deeper.
Same thing with Philly. Like if Tatum was on Philly, or like if we had a St. Louis guy on Philly, no way on earth that
Oh,
I'm cheering
that's
for him.
tough. Yeah. But there's
Yeah, is
not
there?
like the only thing that makes I just hate Philadelphia, but Boston doesn't really have any other players that I dislike.
No,
Marcus
it's
Smart's
just
a
a
little
city.
annoying, but Al
No,
Horford, nice guy.
I'm not a huge Grant Williams fan. I like what he does for the team. I think he's
Hmm.
very important, but I don't love him. Um, um, but yeah, is there a line with cities and people from St. Louis for you? Like, is there like is Philly or like New York or Boston or
I don't know. I just like just hit him just because like he was in high school and we were in high school, so we like followed him
you
closer.
played against them,
Yeah, I played against him. Yeah.
locked them up?
Yeah.
But yeah, the I can't say it enough. I've said it like 8 times during this episode, but the NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs are so fascinating and a lot of storylines going on in both, which is a lot of fun from playoff curses being broken with the Kings and Maple Leafs to legends like LeBron and KD and Steph that are still playing great basketball.
Hmm.
It's a lot of fun. And then like is Tatum gonna like take the throne from some of
Yeah.
these older guys, or like can Giannis come back from this 3-1? Like there's a lot of fun stuff happening right now, and it has me entertained every single night. But thank you guys for listening to episode 84. We will continue to post content on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. So make sure to go follow over there, A2Z Sports Talk. Any last words from you, Zach, before we head off?
Nope. Just watch the playoffs. and hopefully the Cardinals can turn it around.
Hopefully, bro. Yeah, I let you carry the NFL one, and I carry the NBA one. You've been watching more NHL though,
Yeah, it's exciting.
it's nice. It's fun.
Yeah.
But everybody have a great rest of the week, and we will be back this weekend.
See you guys.